straight to your weather impact alert. Thanks for joining us here on 11Alive Plus at 6:30. I'm Ron Jones. Well, we've got a long stretch of freezing temperatures straight ahead and maybe even a little bit of winter weather. Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb joins us now. So, Chris, we talked about this a little bit at 6 o'clock. Man, this is the second week in a row we've been talking about this type of weather.
Yeah, and it's going to be wintry type weather. The one that's going to be different this weekend is that it's not ice. This is going to be more of a snow event, which is a little easier to get through. Not as much of an infrastructure issue when you've got heavy ice weighing down on things, but it could still lead to some slippery travel, though. Here's what we're watching. We have a winter storm watch that is in effect that does include Metro Atlanta. Earlier this morning, the National Weather Service issued this for mainly areas in East Georgia, but then around lunchtime, with new modeling that came in, they expanded it into the Metro Atlanta area and up really along I-75 here. What we're looking for in the metro area, accumulations potentially 1 to 2 inches. At the higher amounts, though, to the east of us, possibly 2 to 4 inches, getting closer to Athens and up toward the Georgia and South Carolina line. Now, this is what we're going to be watching. The cold air is going to be with us beginning on Saturday. Also early on Saturday, that is the window of opportunity where the chances for snow are going to be higher, early Saturday up to around lunchtime. Then we're going to have about 60 plus hours of temperatures at or below freezing through the weekend. We may get back up to 33, maybe 1 degree above freezing here on your Sunday afternoon, but that won't last long at all. Then we go back to the lower 20s Monday morning, finally back up to the 40s, we think, on your Monday. So definitely wear your extra layers out there. It is just going to be frigid. Now, this is what we're going to be watching. We have that cold air pretty much below freezing the entire weekend, except maybe an hour or so on Sunday afternoon. Then the snow risk, mainly on Saturday, the potential for 1 to 2 inches possible here in Metro Atlanta. It's going to be a dry, fluffy snow. Hopefully a lot of that will blow off the roads, but we could see some slick spots developing. And again, those higher snow amounts to the east of the city. This is still going to be an evolving forecast. Stay alert. Remember, what we were telling you yesterday has been fine-tuned a little bit today. We'll be fine-tuning it even more here during the day tomorrow. But the bigger story, not just the snow, is that really cold air. We also have an extreme cold watch in effect. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit.
And what really got my attention, Chris, is making sure we dress in layers when we step outdoors. And folks, remember, you can stay up to date with the latest weather alerts and live radar right here on 11Alive Plus. We're going to have continuous coverage starting tomorrow. Hey, let's get back to some breaking news we talked about at 6 o'clock. A live look from our sky tracker at a house fire in DeKalb County. This is right on Thompson Mill Road. We're still trying to work to get some more information, but this is the video we got into our newsroom right before it started, or right as it was started. You can see the flames coming up from the house. What we don't know if anyone was in the home at the time, any injuries to report, if everyone got out safely. And so, of course, we're going to continue to monitor the situation. As of right now, this is video, but we know that the house fire has been put out, and we'll stay on top of it and give you information as soon as it becomes available. All right, let's get to our other top story tonight. We've been talking about this for the past couple of days. Fulton County leaders promising to fight back after the FBI raided the county's election hub in Union City. So here is what we're learning right now. Fulton County officials say federal agents seized about 700 boxes of the 2020 election materials during Wednesday's search. And warrants show that they were looking for everything from ballots to ballot images, tabulator tapes, from voting machines and voter rolls. And tonight, leaders say that they still don't know where those materials are. 11Alive's Grace King actually spoke one-on-one with the Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts and has this to say.
Chairman Pitts has stood by Fulton County's 2020 election results for 6 years.
They've been counted multiple times. In every instance, including by hand, in every instance, we get a clean bill of health.
He says any honest review would get the same results, but he doesn't know whether that will happen.
I have no idea where the boxes are, who has the boxes, whether they're being looked at, replaced, added to. I simply do not know.
On Wednesday, the FBI executed a surprise search warrant at their elections hub and hauled off 700 boxes related to the 2020 election.
This has to be bigger than simply taking 700 boxes that we've been keeping for some time.
Pitts doesn't know whether it has to do with the president's voter fraud allegations, the state election board, or something else entirely, but he is certain of one thing.
We'll always cooperate and comply with whatever we're required to do. But this has just been going on, and no matter what they do, the results of the 2020 election will never change. Never, period. It's over and done with.
Grace King, 11Alive News.
You know, the raid is now highlighting partisan divides at the state capitol, where tonight some Georgia lawmakers are now raising concerns about what the future could hold. Here's 11Alive's Doug Richards.
But we have heard repeatedly that everything was perfect with 2020.
Republican Greg Dolezal gently mocked Democrats who point out that multiple investigations have shown no documented voter fraud in Fulton County in 2020.
And we now know that there were double scanned ballots.
Dolezal of Forsyth County contends such issues legitimize Wednesday's search and seizure at Fulton's election office.
Today, federal law enforcement resources are being consumed to chase down conspiracies that were debunked years ago.
Democrats strongly disagreed.
Some people are still trying to keep the state trapped in a permanent argument about the last election so they can justify rewriting the rules for the next one.
Doug Richards, 11Alive News.
And just coming into the newsroom right now, folks, Atlanta police are looking for a murder suspect more than 5 years after that crime was committed. So investigators just released this photograph right here. This is actually, if we get it up on the screen, it's Ashton Reed. There he is. They say that he's responsible for a shooting on Landrum Drive in March of 2019. 5 people were shot, one of them, 27-year-old Tyreek Lavat, who actually died, and there is now a $5,000 reward tonight for information leading to Reed's arrest. Also developing tonight, DeKalb County Police said they had to shut down Interstate 285 northbound this afternoon to investigate a road rage shooting. This happened near Highway 78 around noon today. Officers say they found a man shot inside this white car, inside of a white car. He was taken to the hospital, and we're told the investigation is now ongoing. Well, tomorrow, the man convicted of killing Georgia nursing student Laken Riley is expected to ask for a brand new trial. Jose Ibarra was sentenced to life without parole in November of 2024 for killing Riley while she was running on UGA's campus. Her death led to the Laken Riley Act and signed into law 1 year ago today. It explains, or it actually expands federal authority to deport undocumented immigrants who commit crimes. Ibarra is making several arguments for a brand new trial. He says that some cell phone evidence should not have been allowed the first time around. Of course, we're going to let you know what happens in court tomorrow morning. All right, coming up tonight, a 72-year-old woman burglarized and displaced in Atlanta's South Side. What her family had to do to get help months after the break-in. Welcome back, everyone. So ahead of more winter weather, crews are now prepping to make sure the roads are as safe as possible for this weekend. 11Alive's Molly Oak is in Gainesville tonight, where crews are already getting ready to start treating the roads.
Tomorrow at 7 a.m., that's when GDOT says roads just like this one will start getting brined ahead of any winter weather. The trucks come in so cars can get out.
We prepare for this months in advance. We have dry runs. We have our crews out ready to go over the summer, making sure all the equipment's ready to go, make sure all the brine's ready to go, all the machines are working properly, and that's what we prepare for, times like these.
This is one of GDOT's salt barns. GDOT says all of the brine trucks are refilled and ready to go with 2 million gallons of brine for the state. GDOT says that's the same amount they had prepped for last weekend, which it considers full capacity.
We're right back to it. We have 400,000 gallons up here in District 1 ready to go.
GDOT says the initial focus, critical routes.
That's which will include I-85, 985, and all the way north and northeast to Athens, Clark County, as that's one of the most anticipated hit counties coming into this weekend with snow.
But it says it won't brine the entire road.
So we're specifically going to be focusing on the outside lanes first to ensure that we can cover more area, as much area as possible.
Speaking of coverage, GDOT says it has crews working around the clock. Right now they're on regular hours, but GDOT says they're prepared for 12-hour shifts, even working 24/7 if needed. Molly Oak, 11Alive News.
All right, so after brining, GDOT says it's going to wait for the snow to fall, and then the plowing is going to begin after that. GDOT says it has about 570 snow removal units ready to go across our state.
As you know, we have an 11Alive weather impact alert in effect for mainly the cold air, also the potential for some snow on Saturday. We also want to make sure you understand we have an extreme cold watch in effect for Saturday night into Sunday. I'll break all of this down for you next.
An Atlanta woman with a disability says her apartment is still not safe to be in months after someone broke in. See, the smashed windows remain broken, even though she keeps paying rent. 11Alive Chase Howe has her story.
This man not only robbed an Atlanta woman's apartment, but now her family claims the complex she's living at is robbing her from a place to live safely. Sharon Dennis is 72 years old and deaf. She's been living in her unit for over 10 years. Her daughter, Shalonda Petaway, says her mother's apartment was broken into on July 6th. The guy who did it busted out the front and side windows. 7 months later, they're still like that, but boarded up.
I feel like my hands are tied because you're trying to do something for your mother. You're trying to create a safe environment for her, and the powers that be are making it hard.
Dennis's daughter says she tried profusely to get the complex to fix the windows, but no one has showed up. Well, until she posted her TikTok last week that racked up over 3,000 views.
We should take better care of our elderly. I think when this happened, the response should have been immediate. You know, you can't board it up. I say within that month, these windows should have been fixed. I shouldn't be still dealing with this 7 months later. I shouldn't have to go on TikTok to get a manager to call me.
Since the break-in, Dennis has been living with Petaway.
I love having her with me, but my mom is very independent. Even for her to be deaf, she's very independent. She takes care of herself. She cooks for herself. She feeds herself. She dresses herself.
Now, I talked to the property manager and the regional manager about when we could see Miss Dennis's windows fixed, and they tell me that they're scheduling a time for the window company to come out to measure the windows and get them replaced. On Atlanta's South Side, Chase Howell, 11Alive News.
We continue with that 11Alive weather impact alert in effect for Saturday through Monday, mainly because the really cold air, but then also because of the potential for some snow here early on Saturday. And as we told you earlier, the National Weather Service expanded this winter storm watch to include Metro Atlanta. Earlier it was just for East Georgia. Now they've expanded it a little bit more westward because our models indicating that some of that snow could now push into the Metro Atlanta area. Now, accumulations are really tricky with this type of system because the air is very dry, but we're saying in the metro area around 1 to 2 inches possible, 2 to 4 inches possible over to the east of us. Like as you get over closer to the Athens area, that could cause some slippery roads in some spots. The good news is this is a dry type of snow that hopefully won't cause major traffic issues or slippery issues, but it is possible there. And this is not an ice event. It is just going to be a frigid weekend with those temperatures generally 60 plus hours below freezing. Then we're watching that snow for early on Saturday, tapering off around lunchtime. Finally, by Monday, we're going to have some slight warming that's going to move into our area. Here's a look at the potential amounts. And just know this is an evolving forecast. We're going to be updating this over the next couple of days. Right now, it looks like flurries could extend over to along the Georgia-Alabama line. Around Metro Atlanta, 1 to 2 inches, and that moves down to the south. To the east of us, 2 to 4 inches possible, and then 4+ inches over into the Carolinas. And we may even see some of those higher amounts up in the mountains of North Georgia as well. So here's a look at the snow potential. This is the graph model showing that early on Saturday, some of these areas may see some of that accumulation starting there, and then as everything moves over to the east, it will snow for a longer period of time over on the east side, and that's why we think those amounts are going to be higher over toward Athens, the Georgia line there at South Carolina, and those higher amounts into the Carolinas too. We also have an extreme cold watch in effect. That's because between Saturday at 7 o'clock and Sunday at 1 in the afternoon, that'll be the coldest part of the weekend. And that's where we're going to see wind chills. That'll be at about 5 below zero to up to 5 above zero there early or Saturday night and early into Sunday. So here's the forecast track. Dry weather here tonight, and tomorrow it's going to be dry, but we'll see a few more clouds that'll be mixing in here throughout the afternoon hours. And then going into the late night hours, overnight Friday into early on Saturday. This is at about 7 in the morning. These are the areas that are most likely going to be dealing with some snow flurries and snow showers that are coming down. Then watch the back edge of that move away from Atlanta through the morning hours. And at lunchtime, the snow may be over for us, and then continuing to see that back edge move away through the afternoon by 4 o'clock, maybe even east of Athens, and then finally tapering off in the evening in East Georgia. Then we clear out. We've got this northwest flow coming in here, and that's going to help push in even colder air. Sunday morning, we're down to 15 degrees, and the wind chill is going to feel like it's around zero or even below zero Sunday morning. By afternoon Sunday, we might get up to 33, just 1 degree above freezing for a very brief period there on Sunday. Cold again Sunday night and into Monday morning, and then we start to warm up Monday afternoon back to the 40s, and then we'll see some 50s in here on Tuesday, Wednesday, and also on Thursday with the rain chance coming in for the middle of the week. But bundle up for the weekend with this 11Alive weather impact alert for Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday morning.
And Chris, I know your team is already getting ready because you're going to be streaming live continuous coverage starting tomorrow right here on 11Alive Plus. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, tonight, students in more Metro Atlanta school districts are walking out of class in protest of President Trump's immigration policy. So in DeKalb County, students at Chamblee High School walked out this morning. Dozens of students gathered outside the school, some carrying signs and chanting as well. In Atlanta, Midtown High School students also participating in a walkout. Our 11Alive Sky Tracker was there as a large group walked out and gathered outside the school. And then tomorrow, people are expected to rally all across our country. Organizers of what's being called the national shutdown are now urging people not to show up for work, to school, or even buy anything. Lee Waldman is breaking down what this means for us.
I'm so proud of the way our community has responded, but at the same time, we need more from people in positions of power to protect us.
A coalition of organizations across the country are coming together to demand an end to immigration and customs enforcement happening across the U.S. Ben Lewis and Amy Harborn are a part of a union at the University of Minnesota representing graduate workers. Their group is helping arrange a national shutdown Friday. They're calling for no work, no school, and no shopping.
For a lot of these organizers, we understand that it's money that, makes a big statement.
On the website promoting the shutdown, organizers write, quote, "The people of the Twin Cities have shown the way for the whole country. To stop ICE's reign of terror, we need to shut it down." Robert Pape, a political science professor at the University of Chicago, says we are at a crucial moment for our nation's history.
This impacts both Democrats and Republicans. Protest is democracy in action. Protest is crucial.
When looking at the January 30th nationwide protest spurred in part by the shooting deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, he says it's important things remain peaceful across the board.
This seems like a moment in history where the tide of the public can't be denied. This turns on its staying peaceful. That is what's crucial.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
Well, it is official. Our very own Shara Preham is off on her big adventure from Atlanta to Milan to bring you coverage of the Winter Olympics. And if you're not following her on social media, folks, you need to be doing that right now. So she's going to take us behind the scenes, showing us what it's like to prepare for one of the biggest events on the planet. Here's a look at her secret weapon, the one she used to pack for the trip.
Now that is satisfying. I've never tried a vacuum seal bag, but I have so much winter gear and one suitcase, so I'm gonna give it a shot. Thank you, Kira Kinnear, for the borrow. So this is all of my sweaters in one thing. Let's see how it goes. That is so satisfying. Seriously, this is like magic. I'm just gonna wanna vacuum seal anything I can get my hands on. All right, this is the big one. This is all the coats, all the scarves, all the hats. It's my new favorite hobby. Yes.
Cheryl's so awesome. By the way, you can catch Cheryl's coverage on 11Alive and streaming on 11Alive Plus starting Friday, February 6th. We'll be right back. All right, here we go. So in 2025, the Georgia DMV rejected more than 650 custom license plates requests. And tonight we're going to look at some of the most interesting ones here. So check this out. The reject pile includes a few paying homage to Atlanta, like Chick-fil-A, Hookah, and ATLW NBA, and others pulled from pop culture like Swiftie, we know what that's all about, Mufasa, Mulan, and Simba, and a few others like Get Back, Too Unruly, all creative, they just didn't get approved. So do you have one that you would possibly have, Chris?
You know, I think it's funny when I see some of these plates, and sometimes I can't figure out what they are. Like, I'm like, is that supposed to be this or that or whatever? So yeah, I have a hard time figuring some of them out. But so that's got to be a hard job.
Yeah, it's got to be
read through all of those, because some of them might slip through if you don't get what they're trying to say.
But would you have one for you?
I don't know. I don't have a vanity plate, and I don't know a creative one that I would use.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, same here. I don't know if I would have one. I don't know. Breaking news or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about this weather,
We've got some winter weather coming here.